Hey, Abraham. You want to say hello? Do you want to say hi? Come say hi. You gonna say hi? You got a dirty nose. Oh, now Timmy's here. Hello. Hello, hello. My name is Dove. If you're new here, then welcome. If you are returning, then welcome back. And also, I love you. We have a little bit of a different thing to do today. About a week ago, the Sunrise on the Reaping teaser trailer dropped, and I thought it would be really fun to go through it with you frame by frame, unpack all sorts of little details, make some predictions about what we can expect from the movie coming out next year, and just kind of have a chat about what's going on in the Hunger Games fandom at the moment, because there's a lot of exciting stuff happening. Anyways, this is going to be a pretty chill video. I have no outline, nothing to accomplish specifically, which in my most recent video, I kind of talked to you guys about it. These videos are so much more low effort, but like in a good way, because from the feedback that I got on my last video where I was sort of just chatting and letting you know what was up and what I was thinking about, a lot of you guys seem to enjoy it and like have it on in the background as a cozy little thing while you're doing something else. This is going to be a little bit more involved than that, but just like that, it's mostly just going to be like stream of consciousness. This is what I'm thinking, which is a lot easier for me to produce because it goes more of the way of how I was recording TikToks for so long, which is that I start the camera and then I talk. And whatever comes out, comes out. And then I edit it down into something palatable. I do think going through trailers like this is always super fun. My very first video on here, which is so low quality, guys, don't even bother. I filmed it on like my old computer's webcam. Don't bother, guys. But in that, I did a first reaction to the Bridgerton season 3 trailer when it dropped, and then I like recorded that, and then literally later that day I jumped on Discord with a bunch of my friends, which shout out to the Hunger Games community. I have so many wonderful, amazing friends from that. So it was a group of us, and we spent literally, I'm not exaggerating this, literally 2.5 hours going through the trailer frame by frame and making predictions and discussing and analyzing and talking about like visual themes and stuff like that. This is not going to be that long, particularly because I am sort of talking to a wall and I don't have people to bounce ideas off of for it. But I think it is going to be fun. There was so much insight that we got out of that conversation, and quite a bit of it ended up being true, or like generally the things that we were picking up on were things that we were meant to be picking up on when the series actually came out. So all this to say, super excited. I think this is going to be really fun. I would love to hear, I don't know what I'm going to say yet. I don't know what I'm going to pick up on yet, but I would love to hear all of your additional thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear what you guys think. I'm sure I'm going to miss stuff. So I want to hear your opinions, parallels, thematic elements, visual storytelling, all of the things that you guys think are going to be interesting and integral to the movie when it comes out. Also, I do just want to shout out like the editing team over there for making a pretty, I would say a very good teaser trailer before they're even done filming. I think they wrap up filming later this week, maybe next week. I don't know. I am going to be honest with you guys. I am mutuals with like some of the Hunger Games like update accounts, which is great and all, but I'm actually not a fan like that. I'm a huge fan. You guys know this. That's why I even have a presence on the internet. Frankly, like I never would have started making content if not for the conversations that were happening around the Hunger Games in 2023. That's what launched me into it, right? You guys know I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games, but I'm not like an update person. Like I'm often the last to know. I literally was the last to know that Sunrise on the Reaping, the book, was even coming out because I am the most West Coast and slept in the latest of all of my Hunger Games friends. So literally the day that was announced, I had probably 40 mentions from people being like, Dolph, wake up! Because I think I slept until like 9:30 or 10. So it was almost 1 p.m. on the East Coast. Very exciting day for me. And this is just a disclaimer up front. Overly critical. You can be critical. I'm going to be critical, okay? However, overly critical, disparaging of a movie that has not yet come out, I'm not on board with that. I'm not cool with that. You can have your opinions and everything, but ultimately you have to understand you haven't seen the movie. None of us have seen the movie. So all this to say, have your opinions, but reserve your true judgment for after having been able to absorb the entirety of the vision. You know what I mean? Because you just don't know what the final product is going to be. I'm glad we have the opportunity to express opinions like these, but I just don't think it's like fair to write stuff off entirely before you've even seen it. Okay, but I think I've done enough soapboxing so far, so I'm gonna actually figure out how to screen record, and we're gonna go. We're gonna do it. Okay, so early on, I love this whole, she's being wheeled in on a stretcher. I assume because she's lacking mobility in whatever the silhouette on this dress is certainly interesting. It's very interesting. But her little like point to say, let me down now, instead of using her words is cracking me up. Also, I need to, shoot, I should probably get my book, shouldn't I? To be able to reference it. Okay, hold on, guys. Okay, so I did pull out my book to read the description. So I'm going to read that really quick, but I want to point something out in it. Next, fresh from the capital comes Drusilla Sickle, a plastic-faced woman who escorts our tributes to the Hunger Games each year. I have no idea how old Drusilla is, but she's been showing up in District 12 since the first Quarter Quell. Maybe she's around Hattie's age? It's hard to tell because she has a line of what looks like fancy thumbtacks encircling her face, pulling her skin back and pinning it in place. Last year, each one was decorated with a tiny buzzsaw blade. This year, the number 50 seems to be the theme. As for clothes, she clearly struggled to incorporate two fashion trends, military and sassy, and the result is her current outfit, a lemon yellow officer's jacket with matching thigh-high boots and a tall hat with a visor brim. Feathers fan out from the top of the hat, making her look like a deranged daffodil. No one laughs, though, because she's the face of evil. So, what I wanted to point out is that her name is Drusilla Sickle, and in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, one of Coriolanus's classmates is Vipsania Sickle. Now, the detail here is that she's been showing up since the first Quarter Quell, so I don't think she would be Vipsania's daughter, because you figure they were 18 for the 10th Hunger Games. The 25th would be 15 years later. At most, that's a 14-year-old girl, and I don't think that was happening. So maybe it's a niece, or perhaps a cousin. I wouldn't guess an older generation. I feel like niece or cousin, somehow related to the Sickle family, and we know that the Capitol loves their Nepo babies. Anyways, so right off the bat, fun interpretation of this description. I do like the fact that they changed the hat to this really great, I hesitate to say raven, even though I'm sure it's meant to be a raven because it's crow-sized. But she has this really great, like, crow hat. I guess it's a hat, but which I'm gonna have to look a little bit closer at it because does it have 4 legs, or is that just the? I'm not crazy, right? That's 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot.
District 12.
That's so weird. That is so freaking weird. Okay. But also, her nails are like the crow talons as well. Also, I want to point out that it looks like at this point in time, so I talked about it in, what video was that? I guess it was my Capitol video. I talked about the flag redesign that was used in the Hunger Games Illustrated Edition, which I really liked, where it was the main center star surrounded by 12 smaller stars, which is basically the flag of Deseret, which is the whole Utah thing. Again, go watch my Capitol video if you haven't already. Honestly, if you're here, you probably have. But just as a refresher, I really liked it because it had the large central star representing the Capitol, but then it also had 12 stars for the 12 districts, which was reminiscent to me of the original Betsy Ross flag, which was the 13 stars in a circle. But I really did like the choice to change the symbolism from the eagle with the wheat, although I do still like that, again, for aforementioned reasons, that it really does resemble our current United States crest, although the difference on the Pan Am flag is that in our crest, the eagle holds a laurel branch and an arrow, and it's looking at the laurel branch because it wants to choose peace, and in the Capitol one, it's looking at the arrows. It's looking at the arrows, and the laurel branch has been replaced by wheat, which I know also has something to do with the Shakespearean play Coriolanus, which is where Coriolanus gets his name, and also where we get Volumnia Gaul's name. That could be its own video. I need to do another episode in my series on names because, God, I'm gonna get off track every time. Anyways, the point that I'm getting at here is that I like this sort of mid ground that they've chosen to take with this movie, where it still has the eagle in the center. It hasn't been replaced by the star, but it has those 12 circling stars. And I believe they did that in Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes as well, but I would have to double check that. Yeah, I'm not crazy. There are 4 legs, which implies 2 birds to make this ridiculous hat. And I wonder, I know, like, it's military, it's frankly, I assume this is stolen valor. Obviously she's not part of the military, although maybe she is, because technically the Hunger Games is ran by the Department of War, which life imitates life, because tell me why we now have a Department of War instead of Homeland Security. But anyways, I would love to get a closer look at what the symbolism actually is on these. I'm seeing, I don't know about that one. This one, this center one, that looks like a crown of some kind. I don't know if the shape has anything. And then this one, I really can't tell. I have no idea. I would have to look at other, like, I would have to pull up real military badges and see if I could recognize, because also I kind of assume that if these aren't plastic, they might just be actual military things that are covered, although I don't know, we'll see. Also, I like the reference to the thumbtacks, the pins. I saw memes when the book first came out where it was they were showing the skin stretched face lady from Doctor Who and saying that it was Drusilla, which, listen, put her in a yellow military jacket and it's pretty book accurate. Also, love the terrifying veneers. Glenn Close, I never knew you could look so scary. That's not true. She was pretty scary in 101 Dalmatians, but they made her look really, like, uncanny valley scary in this one.
Twice the number of tributes.
So we have the whistle sound, obviously a reference to the original. Now, again, I say I wasn't looking for information, but I of course saw the bootleg behind the scene photos because this was the first scene that they shot. And I know they shot this in Spain. First of all, can I say I love the capes. I'm a cape defender to my core. This is like the perfect example of what I'm saying when it's like, have your opinions, but also this is the very first behind the scenes glimpse that we're getting into the entire movie, and you guys are already mad. It was insane. The second the photos dropped, first scene that they're filming, people are like, why the fuck are they wearing capes? That's so ugly and so stupid, and I hate them, and where are their colored shirts? Can we chill? Can we chill? But also, I'm a cape defender to my core. When I saw the capes, I was like, oh, I'm locked in. I know exactly. Because I had been talking with friends. Again, shout out Rosa, Sadie Rose, Cassie, Emily Ann. Got some great people in my corner. We had been talking about like our predictions for what the aesthetics were going to be, and we very much had leaned into 1960s, 1970s Vietnam era. Now, I do have an outline for a whole separate video wherein I realized that you can actually like overlay the history of Panem onto American history from 1776, starting with 9/11 as the 1760s and 2020 as 1776, and then you can kind of track the major wars lining up with significant events in Panem. Now, of course, you can't confirm these until later down the line, but I think it gives us a pretty good timeline estimate of how things happened. You can make reasonable guesses, but if you start at the very end and work backwards, this is what you do, right? So 74th, 75th Hunger Games, that would be Iraq. The Iraq War, which is, of course, what inspired Suzanne Collins to write this, okay? Then you go back about 25 years, you got Vietnam, second quarter quell. You go back about 25 years, you got World War II, first quarter quell. You go back to the 10th Games, you have the I'm going to have to look up how to say it. Is it Weimar or Weimar? I think it's Weimar Republic, which was happening in Germany. Think cabaret, right? You have this simultaneous, like, yeah, there's relatively, like, people are okay with, like, getting their entertainment. There's, like, a loosening of, well, maybe they aren't that bad. Maybe, like, people that we don't align with aren't like terrible, and maybe we shouldn't be like killing them. But then any of that like progressive spirit was then squashed by the rise of fascism, which I think we can parallel to the sentiments of the Capitol citizens during the 10th Hunger Games, which is that, yeah, they got, by the end of the 10th Games, they were really into it again, but leading up to that, people had lost interest. They were like, this isn't cool, we're not interested in doing this, which is why Gaul did all of her crazy shit to begin with, right? And I think this can be reflected. I'm really rambling about this part. I just wanted to talk about the capes. It's gonna come back around. The point that I'm getting at here is that 1960s, 1970s, I've been predicting this from the start, and the capes give 1970s ABBA. They give 1970s ABBA, and I kind of love them, and also I think the capes are the tarps. Because you know in the book they made such a big deal about these tarps, right? I think the capes are the tarps, and I think everybody needs to chill out about how much they hate the capes. Now, personally, I had been imagining the arena of the 50th Games from the start. I had been thinking of the meadows in Rainier, which that's what I was imagining. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I understand, I get why they film in Europe. However, I do find it frustrating because this is an inherently American story, and at least in the prequel movies, which both are going to have an emphasis on the outdoors and being in nature, it's so distracting to me that is so obviously not North America. Like, the first movies got it right. You know, they actually filmed in North Carolina. They actually filmed in Georgia. That is North American flora and fauna. You're trying to tell me the lake, that's North America? No, it's not. No, it's not. And this is beautiful, but it's clearly not North America. This is Spain. But that said, it's fine for the arena. I think they did a really good job. It is beautiful. It is gorgeous. I do want to talk about the coloring too, because to me, you know how people talk about like the Netflix look? Like, you can tell when things are a Netflix movie because it's just too, like, a little bit too bright and artificial and sterile. And it's like, it looks nice, but like something's off. It's a little bit uncanny. That's how I feel about the coloring in this movie. But I feel like it's for the better, because the coloring in this scene, you know what it gives? You know what it gives? It gives Florence Pugh Midsummer. It gives noontime horror. And I think that actually is the perfect vibe for what goes down in the 50th Games. With that, let's continue.
Twice the glory.
Okay, this is another bit that people have been complaining about. We have Panache
Twice the glory.
throwing down his cape, and people are like, but he should have gotten blown up for that. He can't. Guys, it's the 50th Games. We don't know when that was implemented. And if you go in the book, this being on the pedestal is when Haymitch first sees the rabbit kind of crawling around near him. There is not any type of concern that the rabbit is going to accidentally set off a landmine. So I'm willing to believe that, hey, maybe they just didn't exist yet. That would be my best guess. Ooh, I'm also noticing for the first time, look at this sunrise motif on the cornucopia itself. Yeah, see, the capes have, first of all, they're huge. That's so much extra fabric right there. Plus, it looks like they have drawstrings to be able to fashion it into something wearable, but also like to stretch out. Like, what is this right here, if not a drawstring of some kind? And if you'll notice, people were also mad. They're like, but what about the colors? Everybody has their colors. Yeah. Do you see Lulu right here with her black edge? Do you see this guy over here with his green edge? And you saw Panache with his yellow shirt. See, Ampert has his blue. Look at that. People are like, but Ampert's supposed to be wearing blue. He is. He is wearing blue. Also, what a freaking cutie pie. I'm not ready for that.
It's time.
Okay. I'm gonna let it do its thing.
Water well.
Hear me out. Hear me out. You guys remember... Okay. So, original 4 Hunger Games movie. Gary Ross directed the first one. I kind of love Gary Ross's directional choices, and I know that everybody thinks that Catching Fire is 100% the best movie of the series. I love Catching Fire. It's not my favorite. Sue me. I've already talked about this. I'm a Mockingjay girl. I'm so sorry. But anyways, the thing that Francis Lawrence really did the second he stepped into the sea is he was like, bigger and better and brighter. Think big. Being in theaters for that iconic Katniss, Cinna has just been beat to death. I'm so sorry, Cinna. Katniss is distressed and she's being risen up, right? And that aspect ratio change, it goes from 16:9 and it widens up. Do you guys see this? Do you guys see this closing down? Hear me out. I think we need to prepare ourselves for the possibility that we're going to get another aspect ratio change mid-movie, but I think it's going to do the opposite. I think it's going to get smaller because also, let's talk about it thematically, right? In Catching Fire, there is a plot going on behind the scenes that Katniss and Peeta are completely unaware of until, I mean, literally the end of the movie, the end of the book. Sorry, I'm thinking in movie terms because we're talking about movie, but like, yeah, book stuff too. There's a larger plan going on in the background that Katniss and Peeta are completely unaware of until they get in the arena. It's not until they're in the arena that they start getting tipped off to be like, hey, what's going on here? There's something else at play. I don't know what it is yet, but there's something else at play. So when Katniss is outside the arena, she has a very narrow perspective of what's going on other than what is immediately in front of her. Once she's in the arena, that perspective has the opportunity to widen. We see this with the aspect ratio change going from 16:9 to whatever full screen. I don't know what the bigger one is, right? Hear me out. In Sunrise on the Reaping, Haymitch has the opposite thing happen. So when he's outside the arena, that's when he's able to speak with people. He understands that, like, hey, we have the opportunity to try something in here. Here's everything you need to know. Here's our plan. Here's what you can do. Like, he has access to all of this information, all of this planning effort. He knows who's in on it, what to expect. It's not until he gets into the arena that all of a sudden that perspective of the grand scheme of things, the larger picture of what's going on, it gets very narrow. It gets very narrow to only his own experience. He doesn't have the outside input anymore. He can only know what he knows. He has to trust that other people are doing their side of the plan. He has to figure out things for himself if things are a little bit different or they go wrong or whatever. So he is surrendering some of that perspective and some of that safety in the larger plot of what's happening. Whereas Katniss is doing the opposite. That's when, once she's in the arena, is when she gains access to it. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? I don't think I'm that crazy. I don't think I'm that crazy because also, let's be real, this is probably going to be a prequel trilogy. I would be incredibly surprised if it wasn't. Once we got the second book, I'm like, okay, so we're getting a third book because Miss Suzanne loves her threes. Everything is threes. It's always threes with her. Okay, so once we got a 2, I'm like, we're going to get a 3. But also, when did the aspect ratio change happen in the original series? Oh, the second installment? The second installment during a quell? Listen, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if it does, you heard it here first. But also, they're literally putting that in the trailer. They're yeah, I'm not crazy. You guys know I can't be crazy. Let me know what you guys think, but I don't think I'm crazy. Okay, first of all, can I just say it? Panache, so freaking handsome. Look at him. Look at him with his cool ass 70s, by the way, because we did not get to see this part of the uniform when the photos dropped. I love it. Oh, this 70s quarter zip with the pointed collars and the raglan and the color. Oh, and matched with panache just in general. Like, seriously, beautiful actor. I can't remember his name, but like with the fro and everything. Oh, he looks so good and so 70s. Okay, also, Maisley Dawn, you can't tell me they were like, and, okay, let me finish a thought. Finish the sentence first before you cut yourself off with another thought. Personally, I would be incredibly surprised if, oh my god, I'm blanking on her name. What's her name? McKenna Grace. I would be incredibly surprised if it wasn't, if it wasn't her idea, she at least pushed for it. McKenna Grace wanted her hair to be like the fan-made second quarter quill. The bangs, blonde, the bangs, the braid that's right here. They're the same, yeah, look at that, the braid and the, I don't feel like I need to say anything else. You guys know what I'm putting down, and I'm right. Okay, so then we have 8. So inside the 8, we have Haymitch and Lenore Dove. which is great. Let me look a little closer at this, because what kind of flowers do we have here? I'm seeing carnations. Those look like carnations. I'm seeing, those look like hydrangeas. That looks like, is it foxglove? I always get confused. I think it is. I always get yeah, totally is. Which, isn't foxglove poisonous? Yeah, all parts highly poisonous. Carnations aren't poisonous, I don't think. Roses are like famously edible. So it looks like there are dahlias too. And what are those? Look like pink tiger lilies? Do those exist? I don't know what this is. It's pretty, but I don't know what it is. If you guys can spot any more, because then we could talk about flower symbolism. Although I do feel like the foxglove right there, pretty on the nose, like very poisonous. I don't think carnations are. I don't think dahlias are. But, because foxglove, is that in the nightshade family? Okay, so it's not part of the nightshade. It's digitalis, which the term digitalis is also used for drug preparations that contain cardiac glycosides, a class of organic compounds that increase the output force of the heart and decrease its rate of contractions by inhibiting the cellular sodium potassium ATPase pump. Huh. Okay, so then what about carnations? Dianthus. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. And then what did I say? Dahlias? Oh, there are also Asteraceae, which if you watched my Covey video, I went into Covey names and yeah, talked about that, and Asteraceae is what Astrid, where we get that name. Okay, and then let's see here. 7, so that looks like, is that Hamish and Lulu? I think it's Hamish and Lulu. We have the lake in the center here. That's the medallion. It looks like Hamish is holding it though. That's the medallion that probably has the line for the bomb. Yeah, because it looks like they're black, like matching black too. So I assume that's Lulu. And that would be Silka. Ooh, what's her ring? Hold on. What's that ring? I wish they would. Silka has a ring, doesn't she? I don't remember. I guess I could look it up, but I'm not gonna bother right now. And then, friggin' Ben Wong. Guys, I'm not ready to watch Hank Olsen die again. I'm not ready to watch him die again. Are you kidding me? Okay, see, yeah, the ties are to make it into something wearable. But black, I'm telling you guys, the colors aren't just being ignored, and y'all need to chill. Not you specifically, but the people who were so upset need to chill. Okay, we got more flowers to look at here. Unfortunately, I'm not finding any of them immediately placeable. I don't know. But again, we have Hamish and Lulu. What's he got on his back? A machete? I don't... But see, these trees, I'm sorry, obviously not North American. It's fine for this. And then we have actual Luella in the 4. So wild. What do we have here? Okay, so at this point we have Hamish and Maisley, and it looks like the crowd is doing the salute. I'm wondering if that's the funeral, because it looks like they're in the woods too as it's happening. I think that's Hamish right there, isn't it? Or maybe Burdock? Ooh, that might be Burdock when he's singing. Yeah, because that doesn't look like Joseph. Okay, and I've also seen people be upset that everybody seems to be running at the same time when Haymitch managed to get in and get out because everybody was so distracted. I think that's fair. I am undecided on how I feel about that. I'm just going to have to wait and see how it goes. I will say, though, I like that this cornucopia seems to be at least a little bit more, what's the word for it? Democratized, I suppose, because it has, like, multiple entrances. I was thinking about this, especially with the image from the Hunger Games Illustrated Edition that shows, like, the traditional cornucopia, not, like, the crazy metal thing that they put in the first movie. But, like, dude, if you're on the back side of it, if you're at the tail, you're so fucking screwed. You gotta go all the way around to the mouth, whereas the person in front of the mouth just has a straight shot. So I feel like this cornucopia, it doesn't seem to have a single entrance. It has stuff all over it. It doesn't have anything in the fields surrounding it, unlike Katniss's. But still, it looks like there are multiple entrances. So Silka falls, and Panache pushes Haymitch down. Who was Russet Brown? Is that 11? I think 11 was Russet Brown, weren't they? So I think that might be one of the, or unless they're considering that orange, but that looks, I mean, it looks orange, but it also, if you're Russet Brown versus orange. Okay, President Snow. I have seen already a lot of complaints. People are upset. Why does he look so old? He looks even older than Donald Sutherland. Okay, I hear you. However, could this not just be explained by plastic surgery? I need to go back in Catching Fire and see if Katniss makes any comments about Snow's appearance when they're watching Haymitch's games. But she makes a lot of comments about how weird and puffy and weird and strange his face is by the time she knows him, and that he got a lot of plastic surgery. Could this not just be before the plastic surgery? And he's getting some wrinkles and he's getting a little saggy, and then they just fill him up with filler so he's all plump and creepy with his giant lips. No? Anyways. Ooh, buttons. What's on the buttons? Okay, first of all, I do want to say the little cap here, it's probably a brooch to hold this stem. Really beautiful. Honestly, I think I'm just always going to associate the red that they used in this suit. The original red suit that Snow wears in the like main series, it has like a texture. It's like some type of brocade. This one. See, it's like a brocade. Or I guess that's his robe, but here's his actual. That one's velvet and it's got a texture to it. So yeah, all of these we see, they're red, but they have a texture. The lack of texture, specifically with Ralph, is it Fiennes or Phineas? I don't know. Anyway, with Ralph, it reminds me of Conclave. Just when I finally watched Conclave, which I'm so glad I waited. I didn't wait for any particular reason other than I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. I'm so glad I did, because then I got to watch it the night of the Conclave. Like the actual one that was happening in Rome. When we got our first American Pope from Chicago. Love that. Obsessed.
Look, God bless you. Being from Chicago, you've had more hot dogs than any Pope in history.
God bless you.
Only with mustard. Thank you, sir. Mustard and cream. That's the rosaries. Thank you, Pope Leo. All right.
That was the night to be watching it. You know what I mean? But after I finished that movie, I was like, I just want to be drowned in thousands of yards of the luxurious red fabric that covered that entire movie. And this reminds me of that. We also have this, like, honestly, I think it's kind of funny. I don't think it was an intentional choice on behalf of the costume makers, but I think it has some kind of amusing implications of like obviously using faux fur for the collar. That's just, I'm sorry, faux fur is never going to scream luxury to me. It's plastic. It's plastic and it's not warm and it's hard to clean. So I don't know, I just feel like Snow would use real fur, but the implication that he doesn't, kind of amusing to me. Also, I do want to talk about these military uniforms with the beret and the barrel-legged pants. I'm gonna have to think more about that. So up here we have clocks, but is it just me or do they seem to be on slightly different times? We have, this is a clock. Okay, it looks to be what, like maybe 7:03 or something like that, because we have, here would be 6, 7. I'm not gonna acknowledge it. I think it's so fucking stupid. I don't get it. I refuse to get it. Consider me old. Consider me old. I don't think it's funny. I think it's annoying. Anyways, looks to be like 7:03. This one, minute hand, seems to be in the same place. Why does the hour hand look like it's over at 5? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? I might be, to be fair. No, that does seem to be the case, though. Oh, and I want to see what's behind him so bad. I want to see what this is. Because also when we're talking about like the visual elements within the story as a whole, but specifically with Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, they really leaned hard into the Art Deco of the Capitol, which, to be fair, elements of that were present in the original movies. They just were overlaid with like a very modern interpretation of like, what could this future look like? Which is fair. I think that makes sense. But they stripped that back for Ballad, and they really leaned hard into the Art Deco of the Capitol architecture, and then specifically within the games, they sort of did like a retro-futurism type of 1940s, early 50s kind of vibe with Lucky and all of that stuff. So if we align our dates here, you think like, okay, so the 10th Hunger Games, 1920s, what happens 40 years later? It's in the 1960s, it's Vietnam. It's Vietnam. That's why I have been predicting the 60s and 70s, psychedelic, also like mod era. I think they can still lean into the retrofuturism with specifically mod fashions. Sorry, I randomly got the hiccups there. But then also, just from behind the scenes, again, I'm not searching for it, I just see it. I know that we've seen some of the propaganda posters that are being used in District 12, and they very much have like a psychedelia type of vibe. Again, I believe that they are using visual shorthand based in our own reality. Number one, because it's a show about post-United States North America. But number two, as like a shorthand to sort of kind of instinctually place us as the viewers in time based on the framework that we already understand. Also, who is this guy? Who is that guy? That's not Kieran Culkin. It's also not Jesse Plemons. Who are you? I would love to know. Okay, we have the infamous Burns. Burn? I don't remember. Also, this is a really, I like this, see, look at the cape. The cape has been rolled up and stored as if it's a tarp. It's the fucking tarps, guys. But I was going to make a comment on this triangular backpack, which I find very interesting. Anyway, these are the infamous Burns that are not very well disguised. Look at that, Ampert's wearing blue. Y'all were mad. You didn't even freaking know. I'm not prepared for that. Not prepared for that. Also, the little rainbow in the lens flare. Loving that. Okay, see, now I'm seeing, those are California poppies. Poppies? Poppies, anyone? Also, I'm so glad that they went with these type of geese, because my bookmark that I made for Sunrise on the Reaping, where it's geese and it says don't let it rise, I didn't do white geese because I thought white geese were boring. I also didn't do these type of non-white geese with the orange beaks, but I'm glad still that they went non-white geese because they're just more fun. They're just more fun. And they blend in more. But guys, this is not North America. Okay, also, so there she is. She has, ooh, and I need to go back and see if they literally used, it would be so great if they used literally the same set piece, or prop. But, so Lenore Dove has, Billy Tope's squeeze box. That's where she got that. Also, it looks like we have some, that might be Evening Primrose right there, actually. Also, she's so freaking gorgeous. Are you kidding me? Oh, and somebody pointed out, I don't know if that's the shot you can see it in. Going too fast. Maybe I should just slow down my... Let's just slow down my... Oh, that's quite a sound. Okay. Does that not look like the top, like the corset part of Lucy Gray's dress from the last movie? Because it kind of does. I saw somebody else point this out. This wasn't an original observation. But also when we're describing the, like, Lenore Dove's clothing in the book, he talks about, like, scraps of color that she's incorporated into her wardrobe, that, like, pieces that she's sewn in, reused. Yes? And then we have another scrap of fabric. What is on that? So we got orange, we got, like, a dark purple. Also, what is this? Is that the... What is that? Is that the size of the squeeze box or something? I know it's called an accordion, but it's also called a squeeze box, and that's what they called it. I'm just interested. It's like part of a scarf or something. We got blue and purple on the Flint Striker. Which also, let's look at his house a little bit here. Okay, so he's up in the attic. Is that like a little wooden horse? That looks like a little wooden horse toy. Also, these pants are corded corduroy. I guess that was redundant. Corduroy. It looks like the arm of his jacket has wear right on the edge in a line here, or maybe it's been repaired there. White linen shirt. Look at Sid though. He's got his little 1970s. Look at that collar. And it looks like it's... Okay, that part actually is kind of taking me out of it because it does seem like it's polyester, which is technically very 70s accurate. I wouldn't say District 12 accurate. I think Haymitch's linen makes more sense. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a horseshoe? Is that a horseshoe that's hung upside down? Because Haymitch isn't lucky. Guys, this is... I think that's a horseshoe hung upside down because Haymitch has no luck. Okay, I don't know what type of flower that is. Also, poor Lulu, look at her. Her blood stain. Oh, that's... Yeah, because they burn blue. Okay, Effie Trinket. Miss Effie Trinket. Can I just say butterfly necklace inspired? Inspired! Because what was she wearing during the last quell? The iconic butterfly dress, arguably the best and most iconic costume in any of the movies. I think so. I think so. Also, this little hairnet, it looks like, I'm pretty sure I have these exact beads. They're like blue stone stars, and it looks like they've been woven into a little hairnet. I kind of get the vibe that she made these herself, which I love, because that's very Effie accurate at this point. Also, Elle Fanning, so gorgeous. Oh, what's her ring? Is her ring another butterfly? It kind of looked like it. I think it might be. Okay, and this is the edge. They've burnt through. And those must be the stings from the ladybugs. Also, it looks like she has some scarring here on her shoulder, which is, I used to have raised scarring there on my shoulder as well. It's finally faded. I had a run-in with the barbed wire fence in the 6th grade, and I had raised scars on my shoulder for a long time, and I don't know if that's a Maisley thing or if that's a McKenna Grace thing. Okay, we got the final showdown with Silka in this part. It looks like Hamish is already holding in his guts. Awesome. Great. I'm not gonna lie, not how I pictured Silka, but that doesn't bother me. I actually kind of don't care. It's fine. This is him getting into the burn. Can't really see anything new about the costumes. Is that... I guess it is. I couldn't tell if that shield was transparent or reflective. I think it is reflective, but it looks like the sun is almost shining through in that. So this is one of the career showdowns. Clearly it's later in the games because Panache is a mess right now. I mean, so is Hamish, but... Okay, and then this little bit. So again, we can see the claws. I'm not crazy. There are 4 legs on this weird bird hat. And her fingers are talons, and are the underside of those talons painted a burgundy? I think it would have been funny if they did full Louboutin red underneath. I know that's like a real thing that people do as well. Also, love this, like, the implication of this glass, you can't set it down. It's only for holding. Also, that is the most 70s outfit ever. Look at the hair. The hair, which arguably a lot of children are doing again. Put the hat on the head and the... With the turtleneck. With the blazer. And you know what? It looks like polyester. I'm kind of loving that the capital is giving polyester. Sid wearing polyester took me out of it, but capitals having 70s accurate polyester is actually, it's doing it for me. Who is this? It's blue, but surely it can't be. Also, was that a lens flare, or what was that speck of blue? It must be a lens flare. Yeah, right there. What's on his shoulder? Who is this? Because why are they wearing blue like Ampert? And they're fighting. That doesn't make sense to me. I guess we'll see. And then you're gonna put this in the teaser. You're gonna put this in the teaser? That's so mean. Also, Burdock's hot. Also, seeing Burdock right now, that confirms that earlier when we see somebody in the number, I think that's him singing at the funeral. Them physically holding him back. Oh, Man. Also, somebody pointed out that the cistern, Haymitch assumes that it's his fault that it's empty, but he's been gone for weeks. I guarantee it needed to be refilled before then. So it has probably been purposely emptied while they were at it, you know, while this was happening. Okay, and then somebody else pointed out that we all thought this was a death. It actually seems to be him getting poisoned for the first time. He is clutching his stomach. He also... Does he already have some type of... Yeah, he's having a reaction. It looks like on his face as well. There's like little pustules. Gross. Yeah, man's in pain. I think these games are going to be a little different. I don't remember a blue light emanating from the cornucopia when this happened. Like I said, I'm going to have to go back and read it, because maybe I'm just forgetting. And the fact that it's not even, like, listen, normal lava, bad enough. Bad enough. Don't want to be exposed to that. It's chemical lava. It's giving them chemical burns. So much worse. It's so much worse. And then I stand by the fact that I still think the Flint Striker is reminding me of an Ouroboros. But the snake is not yet eating itself. Mockingjay is biting. Guys, this movie is going to be so freaking depressing. Are you kidding me? Oh, let's go through the comments and see what people have to say. Okay, I think I'm done with the screen sharing portion of this video, because I was gonna be like, oh, let's look through the comments. Honestly, guys, the comments are kind of boring. Nobody is having anything really groundbreaking to say, to be honest with you. I'm hoping the comments under this are much more interesting. I want to hear all of your thoughts. Also, I know I didn't mention Jesse Plemons as Plutarch. He looks great. I thought it, but I didn't mention it. His like costume being just slightly red. I like it. I like it. His proximity to snow. I know you guys are chomping at the bit. You're hoping that the third prequel is gonna be about Plutarch. You guys know I hate him. I hate him. I hate him so much. I like his character as a character for the function that he plays in the story. I find him fascinating. I personally hate him. I personally hate him, like, a lot. I think he's an asshole. I think he's a dickhead. I think he's a little bitch. And I will stand by that. However, I am very interested to see what Jesse Plemons brings to the role, because he does admittedly play a larger part in this movie than we've ever seen him in before. So that'll be interesting. Personally, I hope that if they do another, like the next prequel, I hope it's going to be the 25th games. I want to see all 3 quells. And not because I want to see the quells, but because I have a lot of personal theories about what went down in the 25th games. Specifically, the fact that I think Snow was the head game maker for the 25th games. I also think it was his idea, literally that year, to retroactively invent the quarter quells. They absolutely 100%, by the way, were not a thing at the beginning of the games. Because if they were a thing at the beginning of the games, if in whatever year, the first Hunger Games, they were like, let's put in a provision to make every 25th game really special. First of all, they didn't even think the games were going to last past the 10th. They were already so unpopular, okay? Number 2, if they had a whole box of interesting ideas and way to spice up the games for the 10th games, they would have looked there first instead of polling the class to see how can we make people more engaged in this. You literally have hundreds of years of ideas saved up over here. So yeah, that shit didn't exist. That's not real. It's not real. The quarter quells are essentially a a wild card, a a retconned wild card opportunity for the head game maker to put a provision into the games to reinforce a message that is currently needed to quell uprisings and rebellions, right? And the implication for the 25th games, the fact that people had to vote each other in, turning neighbor against neighbor, it's giving Gestapo, right? Like, it's getting spying on your neighbors, deciding who to turn in, like turning people against each other. And I also think specifically part of the thing that led into me believing that Snow was the head game maker for that and came up with that specific idea is it reminds me of a line in Ballad where Lucy Gray is talking about how, you know, she wasn't actually like reaped the mayor just like read her name because Mayfair wanted her to. But it also, she has a line where she says that the reason she's there isn't because of bad luck, it's because of bad business. It's because of the social, not implications, what's the social hierarchy and the situation that she was in and her place within the social hierarchy. See, it wasn't bad luck. It was somebody who was out to get her. So I think the first quarter quell was an opportunity to remind people that, hey, even your neighbors are out to get you. Like, I also think as well that part of the focus of like wanting to sow division within the districts on top of the division between the districts already present from the games as a concept, right? It's district against district. Sowing division within the districts, you figure in any given district, the poor people are going to outnumber the rich people. Really, forget districts. Anywhere in the world, in almost any time, poor people have always outnumbered rich people. I do feel like, especially since there is the implication that, do I want to talk about whether reapings were rigged? I don't think I do. Because I have complex and nuanced opinions, and a lot of people I disagree with. I think richer people, relatively more well-off people, not necessarily rich, because I don't think even the, like, I'm sorry, imagine her family, they're not even rich, they're like upper middle class. They're like 1990s, $80,000 salary with a family of 4 gets you the Home Alone house. You know what I mean? Like, they're relatively wealthy, but they're not like rich in the way that actual rich people are rich, like they are in the capital. But I do think that the wealthier classes probably felt a sense of safety and superiority over the lower classes, but not superiority in a way that like necessarily drives them apart from each other, but in a way that makes them more comfortable, because you figure the more wealthy people, they don't have to put in for tesserae, right? It's all the poor people who do. So their children are relatively safe, which I think makes them lack the resentment that the poorer people might feel towards them. So how can you make them resent the poor people too? You can have people vote who goes into the games one year, because also you figure all of these kids are in so many times, there's way more poor kids. It's time for the rich people to have to go in. The kids who are least likely. I can almost guarantee that quarter quell was full of upper class kids in every district. That's just the feeling that I have. So it's creating a deeper divide within the district as well between classes. So I hope the prequel is about the quarter quell. A lot of you seem to be convinced that it's going to be a Plutarch book. And here's the thing. If it is, I'll read it, but I'll hate it. I won't hate it. I'll probably like it, but I'll hate it. I think if we got a Plutarch book, I would hate it in the way a lot of people hate Ballad, because it's snow and they don't like snow. And like, I found it to be a fascinating character study. I also hate snow, but like I thoroughly enjoyed it because it gave us like a window into the workings of his mind and just how evil he is and kind of what led to that and the circumstances of his childhood and whatnot. But ultimately, Snow still isn't likable or redeemable. So besides people who were just blinded by how hot Tom Blythe is and were being annoying after the movie was released, because that was like a subset of people, I would still argue that the vast majority of the fandom has reasonable takes about how Snow is irredeemable. And like the book didn't make them like him more, right? If we got a Plutarch book, y'all would be insufferable. I'm so sorry. Because too many of you just love him. You guys actually like him. Like you guys like him. Not as a character, but him. I don't get it. I find him a fascinating character. I think he plays a very important role within the story. He is instrumental to the success of the rebellion and instrumental to all of the non-successes that led to this success, right? And that's important, and it's necessary, and it's valuable. It doesn't make him personally a good person, though. Plutarch is, at his core, a showman, and he is, at his core, an opportunist, okay? Do I believe that he believed the philosophies that he was talking about? Yeah, I do. Hey guys, it is about a week later. I'm currently editing that video and my mic died, which I did know within about a minute or two of that happening. What I didn't realize is that because it was plugged in, I wasn't getting any audio at all. I thought I was still getting like shitty audio, but no, it's fully silent. So you didn't really miss anything. I was just ranting about Plutarch for another like minute and a half. I was gonna say about our love-hate relationship, I don't really have any love for him. Let's be real here. The closest thing I have to love for him is interest and fascination, and that's not actually love. But that means I also don't have an outro for you. So this is me now making up an outro. Hope you had fun hanging out with me throughout this. It was kind of a weird one to edit, if I'm being honest with you. Please let me know. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that I missed in the trailer. I would love to hear about it. Any theories that you have for how the movie is going to adapt things. I do still have no idea how this is going to be a PG-13 movie and still have some of those deaths. Even if they replace it with something else, I still don't know how it's going to be PG-13. So with all that said, hope you guys had fun here. Please be sure to do all of the YouTube things like subscribe, share with a friend, leave a comment. Thank you as usual to everybody over on my Patreon. I post all of my content there ad-free, but even if you don't want to pay for like a tier, honestly just sign up for a free membership because I do share like a lot more behind the scenes and updates over there than I do anywhere else. So with that being said, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I know when this movie comes out, I'm gonna have a terrible day. So goodbye. See you soon. Also, thank you if you stuck around this long. As a reward, here are my editing buddies. You good? You good? Say hi, everybody. Say hi.